I'm looking at the handout over here. Welcome, welcome to my fast filing system little class. I'm doing this because I am so excited to introduce you to a new fast filing course that will be online. This is the first time I've done an online class for filing. I did one, you all know about, many of you know about the SOS program. Okay, wait, let me mute everyone. Hold on. Okay, you are all muted, but if you need to say something, you can just click the unmute button at the bottom of your screen. I have done, you all know about the SOS program. Most of you know about it. If you don't know about it, just ask me, I'll tell you about it. But I created a filing program that is similar in that it's online, but different in that I'm using modern things. For example, I'm on video. I'm not on any other video of any other programs. It has not only a video, but a handout and a homework assignments and a little quiz for reinforcement and an extra learning link. So it's the same principle, but it's slightly different. So today I'm going to talk to you about your filing, talk to you about papers, answer all of your questions. And then in the end, I would like to introduce my program to you and tell you the special that my marketing guy laughed at when I told him about it. And my son laughed at me. Many of you know that I struggled with papers. I struggled with all of the organizing stuff. I say that I have the heart of a hoarder. I'm not like that anymore. Today, you can knock on my door at any moment. I can let you in. You can go into any room. There was a time when if somebody knocked on the door, I would panic. I would open the door and slip outside so they didn't see my house. My papers were a disaster. I used to own a real estate company and I used to buy filing systems because I could never keep track of all the paper. Paper would just come in, and I'd put it in stacks and I could never handle everything. And then like I would work on my deals and then, but I would forget the little things. Like I would forget to tell people that I had worked on it. I would forget to give people the information. So I gather all this stuff, but it was just papers. I could never keep on top of it. And then in addition to regular papers, there are papers that are bills. There are papers that are things you need to do just outside of bills. There are papers for things you're supposed to remember. There are no, you're all here because you know. I had Post-it notes all around my monitor and on tables. I had the same problem. And so because I had the problem, I was motivated to learn how to fix the problem. But I had a benefit that you all don't have, which is I had clients, well, after I got into organizing, who had the problem, and I was motivated to learn. So I would go to my client, I would tell them everything I knew, the best I knew, but then I was so motivated, I would go get a book or 2 or 5 from the library and read them to learn how to do this. And then I would go back and I knew more than I knew the first time I went. So not only did I get to go, not only did I have the problem, so I had the motivation, but I would go to my clients and they had the problem. And then I would go learn because I wanted to learn for me and them. So my first 3, 4, 5, 6 years as a professional organizer were learning how to solve my problem. And my passion, I had more passion than knowledge. Well, after a point, I had more knowledge because I kept learning and going to people and practicing on them. And then I'd come home and practice on me. I remember the day I was with a client, I was with someone, and she asked me a question. I don't remember what the question was. And I had read so many books about organizing that the answer just flew out of my mouth. And I heard myself say it, and I thought to myself, that sounds really good. When I get home, I'm going to try that. And I did, and it worked. So I've practiced. So everything I tell you comes from hard knowledge. I needed it, and I practiced it, and I learned it, and it wasn't easy. I remember after I joined the National Association of Professional Organizers, that was my source for all the organizing information if I needed to know something quickly. And I asked a friend of mine about how to do my files because I was okay. I was getting better with the clutter. I was getting better with how do you clean off surfaces and where do you put things that you don't know if you want or not. I was getting better with that, but the papers still plagued me. And I said, Joan, how do you do the filing? And she said, you've heard this before, so you've heard this. She said, you take everything out of your filing cabinet and then you go through it and you put it back in. You've heard that before, right? Nod your head if you've heard that. That's the worst advice ever for us. The reason is because we're not good at this. We don't have everything misfiled because we have a lot of different issues. We don't know what to call things. We don't know where to find them. We have too much. We get overwhelmed. We get distracted. We can't make the decisions. So I pulled everything out of my file cabinet, and it took me years to get all my papers back in my file cabinet. Don't do that. Don't do that. You start filing with, you create a space and you file there. And then you pull things out of existing spaces until you make room. Don't empty everything because we are not good at it. We're not disciplined. So if you empty everything, when are you going to get back to it? We're distractible. That's who we are. So I was teaching one of the many organizing classes that I have taught over the years. And a lady in my program said, I just don't get papers. I just don't get filing. I don't have a head for it. And I thought, she said, Marsha, I wish you would teach a filing class. It was her idea, not mine. And so I said, that's a really good idea. By then I'd probably read, 12 books about how to do this. One of my favorites is called Do It Tomorrow. And so I had read all these books. So I said, you know what, I'll do that. I'll do a filing class. And then when Sandra and I wrote our book, Organizing Your Day, about filing and papers, we took a lot of it from the classes that I had already taught because it's much easier to teach a class than write a book. Trust me on that. So she asked me to do it and I made it up and we just started and I did my first class on filing and papers. I think we called it paper flow and filing, and then we called it the color filing system and some of that. And some of you all are familiar with some of those classes that we did on filing. So today, it is my goal to teach you the first part about filing because you have to get started. I mean, that's the first part. So right along in the early years, as a matter of fact, in 1993, I met Sandra Felton. She was already a professional organizer. Many of you have heard of Sandra. She had already written books. And when she found out about me, we both belonged to NAPO, which is the National Association of Professional Organizers. Sandra asked me to come help her with her papers. I was honored, but I was scared because she was the expert. And I went and helped her and she liked what I did and she liked my method. So she started telling people that I was a paper expert, which meant more people would call me about helping them with their papers, which meant I got even more practice. So what you're going to learn from me is tried and true and practiced. And we've done it. We've made mistakes. We fixed them. We made more mistakes. We fixed them. And from trial and error and almost 30 years of practice, what you're getting is everything I know. And I'm telling you, I left no stone unturned. I put everything in this program. So let's get started. Let's see. So I'm going to tell you everything about how to get started. I'm going to talk to you about my program. Does that sound okay? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to try to turn the page without looking at the page. That's not easy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you're here. You know why you're here. We all know why we're all here. We're here because filing is not intuitive for us. We don't know what to call all that stuff. It's overwhelming. We have too much of it. Some of you have boxes and boxes and boxes of papers. Some of you have a few. I can remember I would go to a client that had a room full of papers one day. And then the next day I'd go to somebody that had a desk full of papers and she would say, "Can't you see why I'm so frustrated?" And I would say to myself, you should have seen where we were yesterday. Because everybody feels frustrated about their own amount of paper that they can't handle. And it doesn't matter if you are frustrated about 15 pieces of paper that you don't know what to do with, or 15 boxes of paper, or 50 boxes of paper. The methodology is the same. And once you learn how to do it once, you just keep doing it one time again. If you can do it, if you can make one file, you can make 1,000 files because you do it the same way. So what happened? What happened to us? How did we get like this in the first place? Well, for some people, they save all the mail they get. I had this idea when I was young that I was supposed to read all that interior matter that comes in your bills. You know how you get your water bill and then they have a notice in there about how they calculated it and what's going on with water in your town. And then when you get your light bill, they have a notice in there that tells you all this stuff about electricity. And then when every bill comes with something you're supposed to read. I thought I was supposed to read all that stuff. But of course I couldn't get to it. So guess what I did? I saved it. So when I started going through my files, I had mountains of papers that were literal trash. I can remember over the years, I would not, well, then I started learning how to get rid of junk mail. And then I'd go to work with somebody and I'm sitting there with her and we're going through the same junk mail that I had just thrown out that morning or that week, because we save stuff that's really junk. Menus from places we're not going to eat at. Recipes for things that we made that we didn't like. Cards from people that we don't even know, businesses and things like that. The other thing I did was I would save things for my sisters. I have two sisters, Laura and Linda. I would go through magazines because this was before the internet. Thank goodness. It would have been worse because we would have been printing things off. But you know, something would come in or I'd read an article, I'd tear it out for Laura. Something I thought Linda would be interested in, I'd tear it out for Linda. And we would get together on holidays and we would hand each other folders of, now I say folders of junk and we laugh about it, but stuff I really thought she would be interested in. And she'd hand me stuff she really thought I'd be interested in. But how much? Beatrice, we can see you changing clothes. Thank you. I really thought that that they would be interested in all that stuff. So, but what I realize is we all get too much stuff. They don't want stuff. I don't want stuff. Then we have what Sandra calls aspirational clutter. I would drive through the turnpike and they had you may have heard me say this before, I say this a lot. They have all these brochures of all this fantastic stuff that you can do in Florida. Flyers for Disney World, flyers for Coral Castle, which I've probably collected 30 flyers. I still have not been to Coral Castle. Flyers for all these things you can do in Disney, in Florida, because this is a tourist state. And I would think, oh, this is so great. I want to take my sons to this. I want my sons to see this. I want them to have this experience. And I would collect all these brochures. But I couldn't get there because in my life, I either had time and no money or money and no time. But I still had 3 kids. If I didn't have time, I couldn't get them there. If I didn't have money right then, I couldn't get them there. But I could keep the flyers. And I had, oh my goodness, when I was throwing away stuff, I can't even tell you how many flyers of aspirational clutter. I aspired to do all these wonderful things, but I couldn't do it. Some people are just overwhelmed and overloaded with things to do. You may have small children and you're really busy. You may have, I say, medium-sized children, and they need to go to all these events. So you're spending all afternoon running them from here to there to all their things they have to do. You may be taking care of the elderly parent or spouse.
Can't hear you.
Uh-oh, can you hear me now?
That's me.
Can you hear me?
I can.
I can.
I can.
Okay, all right, great. So, you know, if that's the case, you may be really busy and you don't have time to handle all of the paper that's coming in. But you do have time to put the paper in a system so that it's not spread out all over everywhere. If you have papers on tables, on chairs, on counters, on credenzas on the floors and everything, that's not acceptable. Your papers should be in one gathering place so they're not making your whole house look messy. When people have boxes and piles of stuff and they're all mixed up, boxes of stuff mixed in with papers, no. If you're going to box up things, which I do recommend, as many of you know, at least box them separately. So when you get ready to work on papers, you can do your papers. It is very difficult to work on papers and stuff at the same time. Then there are the kinds of papers that need to be at your fingertips, like if you belong to an organization and you have like a thing you say every time that you recite, you may want to keep that right at your desk, or you may have a list of friends that you need to contact, or people in your church that you need to contact on a regular basis. And if that's the case, you may want to keep that at your fingertips. But we have a way to handle what I call your fingertip files. So no matter why it's like this, no matter how it got like this or what happens, you need a solution, and you need it fast. And the reason I know you need a solution fast is because you're here. If you weren't here, if you didn't need it, you wouldn't have taken the time to be here. So I call it, as you know, my fast filing system, FAST standing for file, act, shred, and toss. Because every single piece of paper in your world is something that you either need to file away for future reference. It's something that requires you to do something, something that requires action, something that you need to shred because it has identifying information on it that you don't want to go wherever, in the landfill, in the garbage man's truck, whatever, on whatever. And then trash, obvious trash, just absolute junk that you don't need and don't want, but who knows why you have it? I don't know. You have it because you have it. That's why. So I had a client who is an attorney, and I don't want to say his name out loud. I'm so tempted, but he's an attorney. And he said, Marsha, he said, I don't think you can help me, but I want you to look at my paper piles. So I went into his office, and in the front part of the office where he greeted clients, everything looked fine. And I thought, well, what's the problem? He said, well, you have to see the back. And he opened up the back office, and I'm not kidding. It looked like it was snowing. Everything was white, blankets of white envelopes. I mean, everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere, not just on the floor and on the chairs and on the tables and on the credenzas and on the computers and on the shelves, but they kind of cascaded down in a way where you couldn't see anything but envelopes everywhere. It was absolutely incredible. So hopefully you don't have that many papers to handle. But if you do, what I tell you will work for thousands of papers, hundreds of papers, or one paper. It's all the same. It's the method, not the amount. So here's what we did. And I show it right here on the handout. First thing we did was we started to gather all the papers together. And yes, we used boxes. I like banker's boxes. And the reason I like banker's boxes is because, first of all, if you use the white banker's boxes, they don't suck the space out of the room. Brown boxes suck the space out of the room. So use the white banker's boxes. Don't get the expensive recycled brown boxes, because brown boxes are the problem when they're brown. You want white boxes. The second reason I like banker's boxes is because they're all the same size, which makes them stackable. So if you can get to a wall, then you stack the papers along the wall, the boxes of papers along a wall. And when you walk in the room, all your surfaces are clear and you have boxes stacked along the wall, but somehow it doesn't look like you have boxes stacked along the wall. It just looks more serene. So I recommend that. So we did. We got banker's boxes. I mean, I think I told him to buy 5 packages of 10, so that's 50 boxes. And the first thing we did was we started gathering all the papers together and stacking them, putting them in the boxes, and then stacking the boxes. So his wall became a wall of boxes. And it was a high wall, maybe 5 boxes high times whatever the length of the wall was. Then we took 4 additional boxes. So that took about 2 days. But then you can actually walk in the room. The whole point of gathering is to clear your surfaces. So you create an area of sanity, so your areas look beautiful. That's the whole point. It's like, that's the way to reclaim your space, your house, your office. The second part of what we did was we took 4 boxes. We started with 4. We labeled one F for file, one A for action, one S for shred, one T for trash. 4 boxes. And we opened them up just like that. And you see the little red folder to the right of the FAST boxes? That was in case he found something urgent or important that he didn't want to lose. Like sometimes if you're going through papers, you'll see something that, oh, I meant to pay this. Fine, it goes in the red folder. Or oh, I've been looking for that for years. Fine, it goes in the red folder. So those things don't get buried, but all the rest of it gets sorted. You pick up the first piece of paper. What is it? Okay, what are you going to do with it? I'm going to file it. Fine, it goes in the box labeled F. Oh, I need to respond to this. Goes in the box labeled A. Oh, this is an old insert from a magazine. It has my credit card number on it because you know they used to. Fine, it goes in shred. Oh, this is garbage. It's just an old menu and the restaurant closed down. Fine, it goes in T for trash. And you start filling up the boxes, F, A, S, and T. Don't overfill the boxes. When one box gets full, you put the lid on it, you set the next box right on top of it, and you keep going and going and going. Soon your boxes against the wall will be empty, and you can start using those boxes, and then you put your FAS and T boxes against the wall. What will happen is eventually every box on your wall has a letter. It's either something to file, something to act on, or something to shred. T's, they can go in the trash. Then the next thing we do is we go on you decide, are you going to start on the left-hand side of your desk or the right-hand side of your desk? Because you know what? It doesn't matter. Just decide. And then one piece of paper at a time, you begin to reclaim your desk. And then the next step is what I just said. You pick up the papers off your desk. You decide, FAST. You don't have to use boxes. If you just have a few papers, you can use stacking trays, but those categories aren't going to change. So here's how you'll do that. Here's how it works. You sit in a chair in front of a stack and you decide, what is this? Gonna file it? Throw it in the F box. No, I need to shred it. Throw it in the S box. No, it's trash. Throw it in the T box. Just sit there and throw into the right boxes. It's really easy. And once you do that, when the boxes get full, you stack them. So here's just a little sample of how they get stacked. So F, papers that need to be filed away for future reference. A, papers that need to be acted on. They require action from you. You can't file them because you need to act on them. You can't toss them because you need to act on them. So they're kind of, I call it like an in-between phase, because once you act on it, then you're either going to file it or toss it. So let's say, okay, I'll tell you experience I had. I got a letter from my community association that said, well, they've sent me several letters over the years. I'm just trying to pick one because it's all the same thing. I think the latest one, it said, you can't have your trash cans where you can see them from the road. So I needed to respond to that. I needed to send them an email, take a picture, show them that my trash cans were not there and they had somebody, they had the wrong house. So, but once I sent that, I needed to save it because just in case they decided to write me again, I needed to say on blah, blah, blah date, this is what I did, right? So I needed to save it. But sometimes you get things you need to act on that become trash after you act on. I needed to call T-Mobile. So after that, I could throw that thing away. It became trash. It doesn't need to stay in my action file. And then things that need to be shredded, just shred. Hold on. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about it. Okay, so then there are the papers that just need to be shredded. You just need to shred them. Now, most people overdo the shredding. They shred things that don't need to be shredded. For example, if all it has is your name and address, well, you don't need to shred that because the mailman already knows who you are and the garbage man already knows who you are. You just throw that stuff away. But if it has any information on it that matters, shred it. Shredding is a long, arduous job. It's painful, it's annoying, and it's loud. And shredders that are not like major, like industrial shredders get clogged up. It's just a pain. But if you want to shred, pick a time and let that be your shredding day. For example, if your favorite TV show is on Thursday at 7 o'clock, shred while you watch it, and then you'll have your shredding becomes habitual and you won't even think about it. And then T. Some people don't even use the box that says T. They just get a trash can and then, you know what, that's fine. But I like it in boxes. To me, it just makes it more, you know, just throwing it. Makes it more, makes it have a fun feel. Also, when you are starting to gather and make things look neat, if you have things on top of boxes, things that have grown to the outside of boxes, whether they're papers or stuff, take them off the top of your boxes. You want the top of your boxes to be cleaned off. Okay. Let's look at some examples of how this works. So, papers that need to be filed away for future reference. Things like when you come across them in your piles, warranties and instruction manuals, those you want to save. Information you want to refer back to. For example, I have a file called acrophonology. Something my ex-husband was interested in. I've probably had it for 40 years. It's information about what every word, every letter in a word means. So for example, if you have a lot of E's in your name, supposedly you're very talkative. And he thought that was so interesting. And I said, one day I want to read it. I've had it for about 40 years. And honestly, I want to read it. So it's in my file cabinet. It's not bothering anybody. There's room for it. Now, if it was in a pile on my table, that'd be a problem. But I want to refer back to it. It's in my file cabinet. I like it. See, my philosophy is you have room for every single thing you want and need. You don't have room for things you don't want and things you don't need. Another thing that you're going to file, insurance policies. You only need to file them for the year. So when the new one comes in, you don't need the old ones. But you know, I have the heart of a hoarder. So for me, I save the current year and the previous year. But I don't save 15 years worth of homeowners insurance policies or health insurance policies, because for what? As a matter of fact, the health ones aren't even good, aren't even good in the previous year. But if you are an insurance aficionado, because I'm not going to say junkie, right? And you want to save 15 years worth of insurance policies and you have room in your file cabinet, if that makes you feel peaceful and happy, go for it. That's what I say. Mementos. People always ask me, what do I do with mementos? I keep mine in a folder. I have a file called mementos. When my nieces write to me, I keep it. When my sons did handprints on, when they were in kindergarten and stuff, and they do this art with their handprint on it, I save that. It's a memento for me. I want it. I save it. School records for everybody in your family, vital documents, photographs. I keep photographs until I go through them and do something with them. I keep them in a folder. Now, we don't really so much use photographs anymore like we used to, but we did. And when they're in a file folder, they're in the dark, they're not getting bleached from the sun, they're safe, I know where they are. And when I needed to go through photographs when my ex-husband died, they were right there in the file. They weren't bothering anyone. And I was able to go through and pick out pictures for his, the thing they do. Papers that require action. Here are some examples. An incorrect bill. Well, you're not going to pay it, so you need to do something with it. A notice that needs your response. Well, you can't file it. You need to do something with it. A letter you want to reply to. I have an aunt who does not use a computer. She's in her 80s and she writes letters. And we all try to respond with a letter because you can't send her an email. She doesn't have a computer. An unfinished project or a task that you're working on is something that requires action. And I have a thing, I have frequent flyer miles that still, and every other year I have to renew them or they'll go away. Well, I'm not going to lose them, so I keep that as an action because I don't want to file it. They'll forget it's an action file. Papers that should be shredded. Old magazines, the inserts in old magazines, check those, because long time ago, they did not protect our information. And you may have some inserts with old credit card numbers or old confidential information there. Envelopes with private information on them, receipts with account numbers on them, Medicare, Social Security information, things like that. Papers that need to be tossed. Junk mail, you don't need to hold on to junk mail. As soon as you identify it as junk, let it go. So here's my method, because I like junk. I like junk mail. I do, obviously. But if I identify something as junk mail, I will tear it in half right away, because then I know I'm going to throw it in the trash. It's like a signal to my brain that I don't want this. Sometimes I don't throw it away right away. I put it where all my incoming mail is. And then whenever I decide that it's junk, I tear it in half, because then I'll throw it in the trash. If I don't tear it in half, somehow my brain thinks I'm supposed to look at it. Restaurant flyers, especially restaurants that you're not going to order from, that you don't frequent, they just come in the mail. Flyers to events that you're not going to attend, flyers for things that you're not going to buy, empty envelopes, and expired coupons. Expired coupons are almost always trash, with the exception of Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, because you can always use them even after they expire. Just a tip. Okay. So what I showed you today is just one of 6 components to my entire filing system. So today I gave you for free the how to get started, how to sort, because to me, if all you do is get started and sort, you are so much further ahead than if you do nothing. And if you have paper everywhere, with just what you learned today, you can reclaim your space and start on the path to reclaiming, moving to feeling organized, even if you don't know where every single piece of paper is yet. But I want to explain to you what my entire system is, so you'll understand where we're headed with what I just told you today. So the first thing we just talked about, paper comes in, it gets stuck. We put it on tables, we put it on chairs, we put it on little tables in our entryway, we put it on counters. Believe me, I've seen papers, I've been in and out of people's homes for, well, let's see, I started my business in 1992. It'll be 30 years in February. Up until really up until COVID, I was in and out of people's homes, and I've seen paper everywhere. I mean, like in between mattresses, under beds, you name it. People box up papers and put them in attics, everywhere. But you don't have to live like that, because now you know what to do. You box them up and then you sort them so you can handle them. And the boxing is not mandatory, but it just allows you to clean up and reclaim your space right away. But all this paper, like, where is it coming from? And why? Why do we have all this paper? And where does it get stuck in your home and in your office? And we want to fight it, but paper is never going to stop, ever. It's like it's on this massive train that's on the way to you right now, and it will never, ever stop coming. And even after you die, papers are still coming with your name on them. So you can't fight it. We can't get away from it. And now it's even worse, because now we don't just have paper, we have electronic paper. It's incredible how much stuff comes at us all the time. It's no wonder we can't handle it all. And then the next part 2, is to sort. Well, we just talked about that. So the first step, it comes in, but then the first thing we're going to do is sort it. Because once you sort it, you can handle it. Until you sort it, you cannot handle it. Now, I've had people tell me, Marsha, I'm not going to do it your way. I don't like that. I don't want to take papers and put them in a box. I want to handle them immediately. Great. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep having what you're having. If you want something different, you have to do something different. So months or years after people tell me that, and then they come back into my class, I will say, how'd that work out for you? Clearly it didn't, because you're back in the class. So you don't really have to do that. You can sort your papers now. You don't have to come back next year or 5 years from now and say, can you help me now? Because I didn't listen to you 3 years, 5 years ago. I mean, it's optional, of course. So the next thing that I teach you is what to do with papers that require action. And the reason that's next is because even though I know my system says fast, file, act, shred, and toss, That's because it made a word and it sounded great. Sounded cool, in my opinion. But really, action is the first thing to handle because your action papers are your important papers, things that you need to do. So what are action papers? What kind of action papers do you have? Well, you have your regular to-dos. I mean, things that you need to do, things you think you want to do, things you needed to do and you never got around to, things you want to do. But then there's a category that I call urgent action, things that need to be done immediately, things that you should have done last week when you got the email or the letter. Then there are papers that I call the maybes. And to me, this is where we get stuck. Every time I see when I go to people and I see big giant piles, they always have maybes stuck in the pile. Maybe I want to do this. I might want to go to this restaurant. I might want to take my kids to this event. Maybe I'll join this class. The maybes. We're not sure, but we might. Those get handled in your action files. Then we have something called permanent action. What is permanent action? Permanent action are things you're always going to do. And they can be individual specific. For example, I like to save recipes. I don't always like to make the recipes, but I love saving recipes. I used to cut them out of magazines. Now I print them off the internet. I'm a recipe-aholic, recipe junkie. Love recipes. But I'm always going to keep cutting out recipes. I keep trying to stop. No, Marsha, you know you're not going to make that. But I still file my recipes. So I still save them. So now in my action files, I have a permanent action folder called recipes because I'm always going to keep clipping recipes. So if you know what you're always going to do, make room for that for yourself. And then there are things you want. Oh, then there are projects, things that you're actively working on. There are things like you may actively be working on a trust account, or you may actively be working on a lawsuit, or you may actively be doing something like decorating your home and you're collecting all this stuff. If you're actively working on a project, there's room for that in your action files because you don't want to file that stuff away where you feel like it's buried. You want it where it's really accessible. And then there are what I call fingertip files, the things you want to keep at your fingertips. They may not be actions. They may just be things you want to be able to reach and grab in a second. You know, addresses, whatever it is for you. In the class, we go into excruciating detail on handling your action files because action files are where we get messed up. You know this is true if you've ever tried to go through boxes of papers and you pull out things and say, oh, I meant to do this. Oh, I was looking for this because I was supposed to respond. Oh, these are the thank you cards I meant to send out after my son's blah, blah, blah. Things we meant to do. They just got buried. We didn't do them. That's what your action area is for. So we go into great detail on your action files. Next, we talk about papers that need to be filed away for future reference. And there are lots and lots and lots of those. But the most important thing about that is we don't just have a filing system. We have what I like to call a finding system. So your filing system is accompanied by a master list. And you get, in the program, you get a master list frame, and I teach you how to use it so that every file in your filing system is listed on your master list. And every file on your master list lives in your filing system. You'll notice that there's colors on it. Why? Well, if it's color coded, you won't make a mistake. You'll know red files are your files about people. I actually reversed it. Mine are blue, but you can put any colors you want because this is your master list. But on this example, any files about people. So your warranty, your education records, your medical records, your vital documents will all have red labels. So you can't make a mistake. And the red labels will be to the left. So you can't make a mistake. all of your places and things file, your warranties, your files about your computer, your files about your automobile. Those will be, in this example, because this is blue for places and things, they'll be in blue, in folders where the blue tabs are to the far right. So what I recommend is that you use the ugly green folders and you use the plastic tabs with the color labels, because it's like when you're looking at a flower garden, the flowers are beautiful, but look at the ground. The ground is not beautiful. The ground is pretty ugly, maybe, or at least not beautiful. But the flowers come up off the ground, they look beautiful. Why? Because the colors are against the background of the ground. So what I explain is you don't have to buy all red folders for your red section and all blue folders for your blue section. Don't do that. Just get all green folders so every folder can work in every category. It'll save you money. And then you put the label on top, and your filing system is not only color coded so you can find everything, and not only tab positioned so nothing ever gets mixed up, but it looks attractive. And when you open your drawer, your files look beautiful. And I don't know about you, but when I used to open my files and everything looked sloppy and messy, they were all leaning sideways and the tabs were bent, I didn't want to look at it. So I didn't, which meant I never filed. And manila folders are harder to manipulate because you get paper cuts, or at least I used to say I got paper cuts because I didn't want to do it. But this way it's beautiful, it's attractive, you don't mind doing it. So we take a deep, deep dive also into how do you create your files and your files, so that not just so you can file, but so you can find them again, because that is why we file. But most of us don't have finding systems. We have big file cabinets full of papers and we still don't know where everything is. So we keep papers out because then we'll know where they are. That's why we make piles. See, piles are logical. Piles are like chronological files. You know, you put something in a pile right here. Then you get something else that's important. You think, whoa, I don't want to lose that. I'll put it right here on top of the pile. And then something else comes in and you think, whoa, that's important. I don't want that to get buried. So you put it on top of the pile. So by the time you get to the top of the pile, you have a bunch of stuff that's all in reverse chronological order. But if you put it where it belongs, you don't need to have piles. The filing system is your vertical pile. Then the next category that we work on are papers that have to do with money and finance. Why? Because your financial papers, unfortunately, dictate things about your life. I mean, I didn't make that up. That's the society we live in. That's where we live. That's what we do. So because of that, I want to teach you, and in the system, I teach you very clearly my easy filing, record keeping money system. It needs a name. So if you're real clever and creative about names, tell me a name. I'll call it something clever. But right now it's not, doesn't have a clever name. But what it is a way to keep track of all of your bills and receipts on one sheet of paper for every month. So at the end of the year, your entire financial picture, everything you paid, the date you paid it, how much you paid, the account number, your confirmation numbers are all for a whole year on 12 sheets of paper. It took me forever to fix it, to create this. It was created out of desperation, but it started out with index cards. It grew to a sheet of paper, and it's a beautiful system. And I include every single thing about it, all the paperwork, all the explanations. And anyway, you all know me. So if you have a question, you know, call me. And then I teach you about other filing and retrieval systems. So you see on the little picture, this guy, he's filing away his clients. I thought that was hysterical. That's why that's there. So when you get close up, you can look at it and see that. But there are other ways to file. Now, most people try to file alphabetically. Alphabetical filing really doesn't work for us for a couple of reasons. For one thing, if you're going to file alphabetically, you have to remember what you called something. If you file it under C for car today, and Friday you file it under A for automobile, and next week you file it under V for vehicle, and then next month you file it under T for transportation, you'll never find it. I had a client one time who hired us because she had lost her condo documents in her file. And she didn't know if she filed it under C for condo docs, M for mortgage papers, I don't know, D for Diane's house, H for house. She didn't know what she had filed it under. We had to look through 14 file drawers under every single thing she possibly could have called it to find her papers, which we eventually did find them. And then I helped her create a filing system that made sense to her brain so she could find things. So she never had to do that again. So all of this is what the class that I've created will help you not only learn, but master. And the reason is because I take it slowly. One of the things people liked about the fast filing system was when I was doing the class live was we did the class and then we had an in-between meeting. So every other meeting was like an in-between meeting where you could come and share what you did. But what I discovered was nobody did their homework. And that's why we created the boot camps. The boot camp is just a space to do your homework. Well, with this program, what I've created is a space for you to do your filing. You will get, well, I'll keep explaining it, but there's 5 things you get with every module, but you get a module not every month, but every 14 days. You get a brand new module. But let's say 14 days comes and you don't have time to do your papers and you don't want to do it. Fine, they don't go away. So at any moment, you can go back and learn what you missed. So, but in addition to filing, see, we like to think that, filing is it, but really it's not really just about filing. It's about what happened. How did you let it get like this? Why could I go sit with someone and help her throw away junk mail? Because the question isn't that. The question is, why is she holding on to junk mail? The question is, why are you holding on to junk mail? The question is, why are you holding on to things that you don't want, you don't need, you don't like, you don't even care about some of it, but it's there. Why? What are we doing to let this stuff accumulate? Are we that distractible? Are we that bored with our papers? No. We just don't do it. So here are things that you will learn with all throughout the system, because I included in every module what I call an extra learning. So you can click on it and learn something new. Because I am not the only source of information about how to file and handle your papers. So I want to expose you to what else is out there. I've read about 80 books on filing papers, how to handle it. I have friends who've written books, now, I've been in the industry so long. I have non-friends who've written books. I know a lot of the authors I know, or I've encountered at different meetings and associations and stuff like that. And so I've had a chance to ask them, like, why do you do it like that? And how did you know to do that? See, I know to ask, I know the questions we have because I'm you, I know, because I had the same problem. I still sometimes am tempted to bring papers in and just put them on the table. And I don't even know why I'm tempted to do that, because I have systems now. It's just an old habit. And it takes a while to change your habit. But why? Why do we do that? Why do we do that to ourselves? So all of this other stuff is incorporated in this program. So the system that I've created for you is complete. I've thrown 30 years worth of trial and error and information into it. because it's not just what to do. It's where did it go wrong and how do we fix it? Like, what was I thinking? How did I do that? How did I let this happen to me? And everybody asks me that at a point. Why do I do this? So I figured everybody wants to know. So I incorporated that in the program. So here are additional systems and tools that you'll learn. And there are over 40 modules of information for you. You have to have the skills to change your behavior. Because if you don't change your behavior, nothing's going to change. Everything's going to stay the same. Or you could, like I used to tell people, it doesn't matter how long it takes or how much you spend to clean it up. If you go back to doing what you were doing, it's all going to come right back. So I think if we take the time to go through the program and learn it a little bit at a time, what happens is it starts to stick and it gets ingrained in your head. So you do it, you practice it, it gets ingrained. You do it some more, you practice some more, it gets ingrained. Because it's not just the systems that you need to learn, and it's not just the tools that you need to use to do the systems. It's the habits that you need to keep it going, so that once you do it and it's all the way done, you never, ever have to come back to this place again, ever. I mean, I love all of you, and those of you who've worked with me, you know that's true. But I don't want you to have to come to my class because you're sad. I want you to come to my class and say, hey, I emptied another box. That's what I want to hear. I want you to be happy and excited, not defeated and sad. So the fast filing system on the online one that I've just created has an extensive curriculum. For those of you who are interested in a complete system for managing papers better, this is the best one going. It is complete. I mean, there's nothing else that's left out. I promise. If you find it, let me know. You won't find it. So from the very first module, you start with taking action, because not only do you get a video with a handout that goes with it, but you also get a homework assignment, because I want you to start doing. I don't want you to just listen to me. This is not a listen to Marsha program. Like people tell me with the SOS program that they listen while they clean. And I'm honored by that. I think I'm honored by that. But this is not a listen to Marsha program. This is a doing action program. So I get you doing stuff from module 1 with homework. You will have homework on every single module. But it's not hard homework. It's homework to get you to move into the material. You're going to have a quiz. Every module has a quiz, but it's not a hard quiz like school. It's not like a trick question quiz. And some of them are fun. My son even made up some of the answers. You know, they're fun. They're youthful, I hope. But every quiz has an answer, so that even if you get it, whether you get it right or you get it wrong, the explanation is there, because I wanted to give you extra material outside of what I tell you, outside of what I show you, but I want you to have why. Why is it like this? Because every single thing I tell you, there's a reason for it. There's 30 years behind it, why you should do it like this. And then there's the extra learning part that you saw on the previous page. So things that you're going to learn: how to create your master list, how to do your financial files, how to do your people files. Let's see how to explain this. Okay. There are only really 2 things outside of sorting into fast. There are only 2 things you can do with a piece of paper. You're either going to file it away for future reference, paper that you're going to keep. You're either going to file it or you're going to act on it. Papers that you act on are your to-dos. Actions, to-dos. Actions are verbs, verbs are to-dos. We know this stuff. English, sixth grade English. Nouns are people, places, and things. So your files that you're going to file are about people, places and things, ideas and interests, money, which are your financial files, and work. And you will learn in detail how to handle every single category so that once you get them filed, you know where they're filed, you know how to find them, everything's on your master list. And there's more. So I did a limited dive into what else is out there for you, because I'm always trying to find out what else is out there. That's why I put the extra learnings in every single module. So some people can't come to my classes that are usually at 1:30 in the afternoon. Some people can't come to my classes from 4:30 to 6. I tried to do evening classes, so I couldn't stay awake. I tried to do weekend classes, but you know, people are busy. And so what I learned is there is no day or time that's good for everybody. So what do? I created the online programs, and then there are people who are overseas. I have a woman in one of the boot camps who has to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. My class is at 3 o'clock in the morning where she is. You know, I love her. She's dedicated. 3 o'clock in the morning. So this way, people who are not here can also get the information. So it fits your schedule. I release a module every other week because I don't want to just tell you to do something and then you do it and it's done and you're sitting there waiting for the next module to be released. So this way, every 14 days, you get the next module. You're always engaged in the program. If you don't get around to it, don't worry. It's sitting there. It's not going anywhere. If you do get around to it, great. And if you get everything done and you don't know what to do and you're twiddling your thumbs because you're just sitting on pins and needles waiting for my next module, call me up. I'll tell you something to do. I will give you an assignment. Don't worry. And everyone who's ever called me can tell you, when you call me, I'm going to put you to work. Every module has a video and a handout. Every module has homework, quizzes, and extra learning. I created what's it called? A classroom or a private forum so that you can communicate with other people in the program. You will never lose your modules. As long as you're in the program, you can access your modules any day, anytime. You know I care about you. And I have provided over 40 modules of information for you. I've given you everything I know. If there's more that I haven't given you, tell me, and I'll include it. I'll add a module just for you. So in the program, you will get the opportunity to finally do this. You can transform your life and you can transform your papers. So what's something like this worth? It's always hard to know, right? So we tried to price it out. I talked to people who would maybe be interested. And so here's the thing. If you hired somebody to come to your house to do this, it would cost you thousands of dollars. It always was expensive, but things cost even more now. Like things keep getting more expensive. I know. I go to the grocery store, everything's more expensive. And now with this new thing called shrinkflation, the prices are higher and there's less stuff in the package. Like, come on, you have to hit the lottery just to survive. So we decided that the modules were worth, based on how long what you get and all that. Maybe $45 a module. You get 2 modules a month. That would be about $90 a month. And so my marketing guy said, well, run a special and said, tell everybody they can start. We're going to slash the price in half. And he had all this slash price in half advice for me. He said, and tell them, we're going to slash it. And so for the first 100 people, you can get them on, you can get the whole program at half price. And even at that, that'd be a great deal. But then I told him what I wanted to charge, and he laughed at me. He said, don't charge that, it's too cheap. So here's what I'm doing. For the first 100 people, or for between now and October 1st, for the first people who sign up, you can get the program. And for you, it's $29 a month, and it will never go up for you. If you're in the program, it stays at that. I guarantee you it will not stay at $29 a month. But for right now, you get everything for that. So when I told my sister, I have 2 sisters. I have a good sister and a bad sister. I won't tell you which is which. I told my sister, she said, $29. Nobody's going to sign up for $29, Marsha. That's too cheap. If I needed something and I saw it was $29, I would say it's got to be garbage because it's too cheap. So I said, okay, that's a good sign, because that means the price is way more than fair, because you don't always know when you try something. And I'm trying something. Who knows? Could be that nobody wants it, nobody signs up, and you'll have something that nobody else will ever be able to get. So I just want you to know that. So don't laugh at me. This is a special just for all of you, for the people who are what we call early adopters, meaning that you're willing to try it. If you hate it, you can quit. You've lost $29. But if you love it, I hope you'll stay with it and learn how to get all of your papers filed away in a findable format. And you'll be thrilled when you open your beautiful file cabinet drawer and you see your files lined up like flowers in your garden. So this is what you're going to get, which I've already told you. All of your files can be set up. All. I don't mean just, 40 of them or 100, all. Because some of the stuff in boxes isn't even files. It's stuff you should have thrown away that you didn't. They'll all be color-coded. They'll all be in a findable format. Your action files will be accessible in an action file area. You will have, the quizzes are thoughtful, because I made sure that they would reinforce the material. You get over 50 pages of class material. You can work it on your own schedule. You have a forum where you can learn. I mean, I tried to give you everything, and I want you to love it. And I want you to tell me if you love it, because I made it for me. I made it for you, but I made it for me. I created what I needed a long time ago that didn't exist. And I read all those books because I needed it. And I was learning for me, and I used it to help people. And then I wrote the books because I needed to keep learning. Because, writing a book is a learning activity. And I needed to learn it for me, and then I could use it to help people. So here's what you get. Throughout the program, I've included little bonuses for you. You will get a customizable master list frame, because at the time of that's there for you to download. You will get a complete list of all the things you need to set up your filing system, because when you get there, that's what you're going to need. You'll get a special master list tab that you use. So what I tell people is your master list needs to live as the first folder in the first drawer of your filing system. That way it's always there and you can always find it. So if you set up the filing system the way I tell you, and you completely forget what I said, and you completely forget where your master list is, you can call me or send me an email and I will say, it's in the first folder of the first drawer of your filing system, because that's where it needs to live. You will get my easy financial accounting system when you need it. It'll be right there with all the pages that you need to set it up. And it is easy for real, because I could never figure it out. I am so bad with numbers. I'm great with words and I'm great with people, but give me numbers and I'm terrible with numbers. And then you will get a handout about managing your time and priorities, because some of this filing system stuff is the reason it's a problem is because our time is all messed up and our priorities are, everything becomes a priority. If everything is equal and you're not prioritizing, then you're not going to get things done. So that's what's important. And then there are extra modules in there. There's a module on what to keep, what you should throw away, how long you should keep stuff. There's a module on how to set up a tickler file, which I don't necessarily recommend. And I explain that in the program, and I explain why. Because we have tickler files, we don't look at them. There's a module on storing photographs and different options for that. There's a module on shredding and what to shred. There's a module on managing your time. There's a module, and then I include what I made up, what I call an infographic. A young person who knows how to make a real infographic would laugh at it, but it says what I wanted it to say. I made it up, so when you see it, if you're young and you laugh at my infographic, just know I'm not in that generation. I did the best I could. Just tell your kids she did the best she could. Kids, grandkids, In this program, honestly, I have left no stone unturned for you. I tried to give you everything, and it's all from my heart to your heart. I hope you accept it in that way. So if you want to sign up for it, there are places you can click the links. There's a link in the email I sent you. The email you got yesterday, there's a link at the bottom. The email you got today, there's a link in the middle or somewhere. And there's a link right here where it says to sign up, click here. And you can click there and you can read about it. I wrote up this little thing about it. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask me anything you want to ask me. And this is a perfect segue.
Marsha, you have questions in the chat room.
Say that. Oh, goodness. You know what? I absolutely can never look at the chat while I'm talking, but I can look at it now. So for those, wow, 27 of them. That's interesting. So I am committed. I will stay as long as you have questions. Do you want to ask me questions first and then I answer the questions in the chat? Or do you want me to start with the questions in the chat? What do you want me to do?
I think there's a couple of questions in the chat room. I'm going to take the liberty of reading it for you. It said, how many months would it take to get through the course? Another one says, how long will it take? How many months? So you have a theme more or less of people wanting to know how long the system takes for them to take advantage of it.
Okay. The entire thing from module 1 to the end is 49 modules, and I might add modules because as I come up with things that I think I want to teach you, I'm just going to keep adding them to the end. Do you have to stay for 49 modules? Of course not. You can start today with what I've taught you today. You can sign up for the program and start going through it and get the information you need. And when you have all the information you need, and when your files are put away, you can stop it. There's never an obligation to stick with me or stick in my program. But part of the thing is not the information. Part of the thing is that we don't do it. sometimes, like in the boot camp, people come to the boot camp just because they don't make time to do their filing at any other time. It's not, there's no real content other than, what do you think I should do about this? You know what I mean? But other than that, there's no real content. It's the time. So the modules are to, yes, give you the information about the next step, but also to create the time for you to turn on the module, listen to the module, and do something. Because the module, my talking in the module isn't that long. It's not like the SOS program where I talk to you for an hour. I maybe talk to you for 10 minutes. You don't need more than that. What you really need is action. You need to do it. So if I say something to you in the module that sparks your doing it, then the module is successful. So they're not all about papers. I mean, when I talk to you in the module about time management, that's not really about a paper. When I talk to you in the module about setting up your action files, but you need to clean off the table. The goal in the module is to just, you get the module to do something. Does that answer your question? So in all, the grand total right now today is 49 separate modules, each one with me talking for about 10 minutes, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, depending on what I have to say. A handout that's designed to work along with the module, a quiz about the content, a homework assignment, and an extra learning link to something else, generally on the topic, sometimes on something just I thought you would want to know. But that doesn't mean that at every module you're supposed to do only that. Like, you know, the 5-minute organizing solution that I send out that most of you are on, every now and then I'll get a message that says, well, I already do blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's not designed to tell you exactly what to do in your house at every moment. It's designed to be a reminder. Hey, do something towards this today. And that's what this is all about, just to keep you engaged and keep you moving forward. That's the goal. Now, if you want to join a boot camp, for you to have a time that you have to do something where it's like right there, and what else and that's what you're supposed to do for 90 minutes. The link is there for you to learn about it. But you don't have to join the boot camp. That's just something added that I did because this wasn't ready. Now this is ready. Okay. You want to pick another question, Robbie?
Yeah, the
Okay.
other one is, somebody's asking, are the modules twice a month? And we can see the recording or go to the live presentation?
Oh, that's a good question, because I don't want you to be confused. Okay. This presentation is obviously live, but it will be recorded and it will exist wherever my marketing people tell me they want it. The modules are not live. They are pre-recorded. They're all 49 of them are already recorded. I already did the work. The boot camp is live, but it's not a content boot camp. It's a space to do your papers. If you cannot make yourself do your papers, come to the boot camp. That's where we do papers. But if you don't need that, you just want the content, that's what this is for. If you can't make it to the boot camps because you're working or you're in the Netherlands and it's 3 o'clock in the morning when we do the boot camp, then do this program and it's going to take you to the same place. The journey is the doing. The journey is not necessarily the content. You may have a question. That's why you know me. That's why you can reach out to me. You have a question? Reach out to me, ask me. Everyone on this meeting who has talked to me before already knows it's okay to call me. And many of you have called me.
Marsha, the one question is, are the boot camps included?
No, this is one program. The boot camps are another program. Organizing Mastery is another program. What else do I have?
And another person wants to know, what is the SOS thing you mentioned?
Oh, just go to my website and type in either SOS or, I don't know what I called it. It's the other one that's not the boot camps. And you can look at it. And if you have a question, call me. The SOS program is a pre-recorded. It's recorded similar to the boot camp. So when you click one of these links, it's going to take you to where the SOS program and the boot camp and the filing program both live right there. And you'll see them both. And if you have a question, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer. I love answering questions.
I will take the opportunity to say that I have done the boot camp, and it really helps me because I have paper and I just don't get to it. So I find I go to the boot camp, I have that dedicated 90 minutes where other people are doing the same thing I'm doing. We're all trying to weed through our mess. And it seems to work pretty good for me.
Thank you for that.
Is there a discount if you pay lump? Like at the beginning, 2 modules a month, what would that be? I think there's confusion over it. All the modules are up, is that correct?
All the modules already exist, but they are stamped. So when you sign up and pay $29, you get 1 module. In 2 weeks, it will release the second module, but you don't have to pay anything because you've already paid. $129 pays for 2 modules. Every $29 pays for 2 modules. So when you first sign up, you get 1 module. If you try to click module 2, it will say that module has not been released yet. In 2 weeks, module 2 gets released automatically. But if you try to go to module 3, it's going to say that module has not been released yet.
Okay, so then that leads to the question that says, can we pick the modules we want?
No, it's not designed to let you do that. It's not set up that way. It's not that intuitive. I mean, it's $29, not that not that intuitive. So no, you cannot pick and choose the modules you want. But if you have a specific question, you can send me an email. Okay.
And would this be every Monday that you teach this?
No, this is like the SOS program. It would be a monthly program, except you get 2 modules every month. You get one, and then every 14 days you get the next one. So this is not a live program. This is not that I'm teaching it. This is it, and then the program is already recorded. So it's a pre-recorded program. In essence, it's just like SOS, except SOS is more about learning how to handle all the clutter, and it's more hand-holding. This is more about, okay, this is what you want to do. Here's how to do it. Let's get started. Do this first, then do this. Does anybody else have any more questions? Oh my goodness, there's 12 new questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
Any part of this program utilize like Excel or the computer to keep lists, or is it pretty much in a file drawer?
Yeah, this is all about the papers that are plaguing your life right now. This is not, yeah, it's not for your online. That's a whole different set of issues.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking. Okay, so you want me to just start reading the chat questions? Would you like me to do that? I don't mind.
You definitely have a few more at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see. If you didn't get the handout, send me an email and I will send it directly to you. Okay, wait. Let me start at the top.
Do you have access to the modules received forever?
You have access to the handout. You do not have, if you are still in the program, you have access to everything as long as you are still paying. When you stop paying for the program, you have access to the handouts forever. You do not have access to the, I mean, I recommend if you know you're going to stop, just print them out and then you'll have access to them. You don't have access to the recordings forever. The recordings stay on the system. Okay, I didn't get the handout. Question for later. When I file papers, they tend to stay filed forever. How do you clean up your filed papers? That is a great question. At offices and companies, we used to do what we called a file cleanout day. So what I recommend is you pick a day. So what I used to do is my birthday is July 7th, 7/7. So on the 7th day, I would just look at my files. But if I forget and I don't get around to it, on the next 7th, I'll look at my files. Sometimes, well, I don't need to do it now like I used to, but I used to go through my files on a 7th because that was the trigger for me to remember. But companies would do an annual, companies that keep their files in shape will do an annual file cleanup day. And you just need to set a time, set a day, and do it. Because it's true. Things that get filed tend to stay there. And we don't look at this stuff in our files. And if you have stuff that's been in your files like forever, you have to decide, is that something you still want and need? Do you need those things? Or are they just taking up space? Question. Okay, somebody said they don't know about SOS. If you want to know, if you can't find it on my website, just send me an email and I'll be happy to send you everything. Can you turn the volume up? Uh-oh, I'm so sorry. I just saw that now. Somebody said this sounds like a scary idea. Okay. Magazines. I like to keep magazines in stacking trays on a bookshelf by title. Let's see. When I get a catalog in the mail, I browse and I tear the cover and the first few pages in half. That way I know I've looked at it and I decided I don't want anything in it to be recycled. If I want to order something, okay. I fold the cover in half as a sign there's something I want to order. I put it aside to look at it and see if I still want it. It took me 45 years to get this system. That's a great idea. So if you would, I don't know how to get it out of the chat, but if you want to email it to me, I will share it. Do you use Excel now? How is your program different from Clutterers Anonymous? I am not familiar with Clutterers Anonymous's program, so you will have to tell me. Feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to discuss it. Let's see, I have to get back to work. Emotional attachment. Okay, my therapist says I have ADD. I'm good at starting projects. I usually work on 10 at a time, but it's hard to complete them. It's hard to focus on one thing at a time. Yes, we do have trouble with focus. We do have trouble with attention. I think I have ADD. I think most of the people I work with have a touch of ADD because we are interested in everything. We love everything. We want to save everything. I believe that's an ADD characteristic. ADD is a double-edged sword. I mean, look, we have a choice. We can love everything and acquire everything, or we can be what I personally consider to be boring. We're interested in one thing at a time. Come on, how do people live like that? We're interested in 8 things at a time. That's why we're so vibrant and excited. But of course, there's the other side of the sword. We have all this stuff. Let's see, a writer with 20 years, journals over a 20-year span. Okay, journals are being saved. Let's see. How long will it take to get through the course? If you just do one module at a time, there's 49 modules divided by 2 modules a month. That's how long it will take. So I don't know how long that is, but it's a long time. What's the average number of file cabinets that most people have? I love that question. Organizers have told me that people only need 2 file drawers. That baffles me. I don't know how in the world, hold on. I don't know how in the world anybody who has a lot of interests can have only 2 file drawers. I don't get it. I have a lot of file drawers. I have a lot because I have a lot of paper that I want to save. As I go through papers and eliminate them, if I eliminate the equivalent of a file drawer's worth of papers, I can let one go. But in the meantime, I'm totally happy. See, you should have enough filing capacity for the papers you want to save. Not having a file drawer does not make you get rid of papers. It just means your papers have nowhere to go. So now they're on tables, on chairs, and everywhere. If you need more filing capacity, get more filing capacity until you are ready to let the papers go. The cabinets don't mean you have less papers, and the papers don't mean you have to have more cabinets. They need to equal each other out. I hope that makes sense. If not, please ask again. Okay, let's see, more questions. The modules are, yes, the modules are twice a month. There is no live presentation other than the boot camp, which is not a presentation. It's just a live space. And I sit and anchor you all while you do your papers. Can you pick the modules you want? No, it's not set up like that. They kind of go in order. Thank you for thinking it's a great price. I'm a previous client of Marsha, also previous student. I'm here for a motivational tune-up. And because I'm a hoarder and working at not being one anymore, I can tell you Marsha is a wizard at organizing and decluttering. Oh, I need to save this one. This is wonderful. Plus, she's an amazingly wonderful, giving, caring person. You can't help but love her. Aw, aw, thank you. So good to see you again. Hugs to you. Okay. Are boot camps included? No, nothing's included. Hi. Thank you for that. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Clicking on sign on screen. Okay. Okay, you can't do 2 modules a month, but if you want to buy the entire program all in one lump sum, get in touch with me. We work that out. Some people do, and it's happened on occasion. I used to say, no, that's not possible. And then they didn't want it at all. So I said, okay, I'll make that work. Let's see. How much is a boot camp? The filing boot camp is $20 a week. We meet on Fridays from 1:30 until 3. If you can't make the boot camp, just talk to me before you sign up. I've tried to sign up. How do I check? What's the cost of SOS? Send me an email. I've read your books and loved them all. Thank you for that. SOS is $37 a month. Do you still see Sandra and work with her? Yes, I do still see Sandra, but only on occasion now because she moved to North Central Florida. I live in South Florida in Miami. Sandra used to live in South Florida, and I used to see Sandra about twice a month. We used to have lunch. Now, she moved. Her husband got sick and she moved. So I don't see her as often. She's about 5 hours north of me now. What is the drop dead date to sign up for this special? the first 100 people have the special. If you have a private situation that you want to talk to me about, send me an email. Thank you, Marsha. Yes, true. We love everything. Thank you. Do you recommend the book Clutter's Last Stand? No, but I do love the pictures in the book. The pictures are so adorable. Yes, I own all of his books because I love his graphics. Is the information the best? It's okay. There are a lot of books about how to get organized. There are a lot. Marie Kondo's book is great, but what I jokingly say is, you know, some of the people in my program need to come to my program first so they can get to their closet, or so they can get to their drawers. Because Marie says, empty your closet. My clients can't empty their closets right now because they can't get in there. So, you know, we start where we start. If you already know a lot and you just need I mean, his books are okay. They're not my favorites, but there are some that I think are fabulous. I think all of Sandra's books are fabulous. And the reason is because she loves to tell stories. And I think we love to listen to stories. I would check with Sandra Felton's books. They're all wonderful. The book, and the books that I wrote with Sandra, of course, but if you look up under Sandra's name, you'll see my books that Sandra and I wrote together. The book Do It Tomorrow, I think, is a wonderful, wonderful time management system. I recommend it as often as I can. There are books by the Slob sisters that are fun books to read. I think those books are fun to read. They're stories, they're lightweight, but they get to the point. Let's see. You can use the rolling carts with 10 drawers, label the drawers. I don't know what that means. What day of the week do you send out the modules? They're based on the day you sign up. So if you sign up today, you will get your next module in 14 days, and then 14 days from that, and then 14 days from that. When you set up the file box, should you put hanging folders so you don't sort through it twice? No. Your box for F, the box of things to file, you want to sort quickly. I'm trying to get you through this process quickly. So you're just going to sort. I need to file this in the future, goes in the F box. I need to act on it, it goes in the A box. Just do it quickly. Then when you actually go through, let me mute. Hold on. Okay, then when you actually go through your F boxes, that's when you set up your papers. If you try to do everything at once, it slows you down, you will get discouraged, and you will never get it done. The reason I know that is because I know a lot of people who tell me they want to do it their way, not my way. I can guarantee my work. If I tell you to do it, it's because I probably have done it with 40 or 50 people in person. If you do it your way, I can't guarantee that it can work. I can't say it won't work. Who knows? It might work. But my recommendation is don't try to set up files while you're sorting. It's just not the same brain function. When I used to sit with clients, I would hand them things that were all the same size. So I would hand them, and some of you who've actually worked with me in person can verify this, and some of you on here have. I would hand people all like a little stack of 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. And then the next thing you might get is a little stack of envelopes that I have pre-opened for you because clients don't open their mail. Somebody is, I can still hear you. Okay. Okay. Then I would hand my clients like little papers, how, you know, we keep like these little tiny papers, all the same. So everything's all the same because it's the same brain function. If you're trying to identify it, sort it, make a file folder, put it in the file drawer, make the labels, it's too much to do all at once. We just never get through all that. So I don't recommend that you do the hanging file folders things, but I do recommend that you get a red folder for your things that are urgent and important when you encounter them as you are going through your sorting process. How much are the boot camps? The clutter boot camp is $20 a week. Then there's, no, the filing boot camp is $20 a week. It meets on Fridays. The clutter boot camp is $21 a week. And we're thinking about doing a third boot camp that may or may not work out at 4 o'clock instead of 1:30. Books.
What was the clutter boot camp?
The clutter boot
When
camp
is that?
It's Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6. We're going to
Okay.
try that as an experiment. It may or may not hold out. Depends on if enough people sign up. In order for me to do a boot camp, I need 10 people. So just so you know, we don't have 10 people on Wednesdays, but we're going to try it. The names of my books. Let's see, Sandra and I wrote 5 Days to a Clutter-Free House, Organizing Your Day, 10 Time Management Tips That Will Change Your Life, Smart Office Organizing, and there's one more. We wrote 5 books together. They're all on Amazon. Let's see, I want to know the schedule of when you can release the module. Oh, okay, Libby, you're going to have to contact me and I'll explain it to you. Earlier, you said that you get the special price if you sign up by October 1. Is that correct? Yes, $29 a month, definitely by October 1. Thank you for saying that. Somebody said, such a wonderful presentation today. Thank you. I live near Seattle. Can you recommend anyone for me to work with personally? Send me an email and I will try to find somebody through the National Association of Professional Organizers. How do I get past the feeling I'll never get an organized, flowing life? Okay, we agonize because we're not doing it. You will get past the feeling as you are doing it. The only thing that conquers fear is action. That's it. As you are working towards it, you'll feel good. I created my program the same way I used to work with clients, which is so that every time you look up, you feel better because it looks neater. So I don't start out by saying, make this file, because if you just start out by making this file, what happens is you still have a mess all around you. I start out by saying, let's reclaim your space. Let's clear all the surfaces. Let's give you an area of sanity to work in. Let's make it look good, because if it looks good, you feel good. I was in the grocery store one day, thumbing through, you know, the magazines in the impulse aisle, what I call the impulse aisle, trying to decide which one of, you know, a magazine was I going to bring home, if any. And it just hit me that what is conspicuously missing in all the magazines about making your home beautiful is all the stuff, like all the surfaces are clear. You know how when you go in a hotel, you get that feeling of, you know, you kind of want to relax. Why? Because there's no jumbled up stuff on top of every surface. There are no colors. You know, everything's kind of serene. It's all the same kind of color. There's no blue vases and green this and red this and, you know, all that stuff that looks like this. It's all serene. So that's why I tell people to start by boxing things up, moving the boxes along the wall, creating an area of sanity. Feel better, because as you feel better, you can start to clear things up. And then from the point of everything looks good and you feel good in the room now, then you open one box and you sort. By the time you've sorted 4 boxes, those 4 boxes are away from the wall. You can put those 4 boxes next to the wall. So your house always looks neat. I don't ever want you to empty a closet and have a bed full of clothes now where you're going to sleep. Or dump a drawer out and now you have a counter that's all messed up with a drawer that's empty and you still have to cook for your kids or you still have to go to 3 meetings. I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to do things in a way so that you are always in control, so you will always feel good. Because let's face it, organizing is about how you feel. So the question, how do I get past the feeling that I'll never get an organized, flowing life, is action. And as you start doing it, you will get past the feeling because you'll start seeing results. For the people who said thank you, I want to say you're welcome. My link to sign up doesn't work. Can you email it to me? Yes. I'm going to send out an email. When the recording's done, I'm going to send out an email anyway, probably later tonight or early tomorrow, and it'll have the links to sign up. So don't worry. Let's see. I still need this. If I start going through papers, it would be frustrating and distracting. Uh-oh. How much will it be if we sign up later? I don't know. I can't say. I just know what it is right now. And I don't know what it'll be later.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you can, please.
Since I've been through this before and I wanted to tune up, I did something I have never ever done, because usually I use these big boxes for the fast and it feels so good to like crumble and do that basketball thing, but I don't have space because I was right here and I didn't want to move around. So I went and I just got some shoe boxes and I said, well, I'm not gonna do a lot. I'm only gonna do this little box that's next to me.
Yeah.
And then I stuck a folder inside my action. And I've never done this before, but it's compact because when I'm done, I'm just gonna stack them all. I don't think I'm gonna use that all the time, but to just sit quietly, I can do it anywhere. I can go outside in the yard and, well, they might fly away, but anyway, I discovered a new thing today. Wanted to share it.
Thank you, Liz. See, proof. That is proof. I mean, we have made this process so arduous and hard and complicated and sad. We cry over this. I mean, it's not a joke, you know, we're sad. And so we want to feel better. This will make you feel good. And honestly, it's all about how you feel. If you walk in a house and there's papers up to your ankles and you don't care and you're laughing, fine, don't take my class. But if you're sad about it and you're disturbed and you really are ready to make your life feel better, take my class. Because my class is all about feelings, because believe me, I get it. I know how it feels to have a house full of stuff and you can't open your door. Because I've been there. I've walked in those shoes. Okay, let's see. I cannot open your link. Yes, I will email it out. I'll email it out, so don't worry. You're going to get it. Great insights into my challenges. Yes, we're kindred spirits here. There's no judgment because we're all walking the same journey. Maybe I could work on papers in one room while I'm working on clutter in another room. Sure, you absolutely can do that. You absolutely can do it. It's great to see you too. And let's see. Okay, I don't want you to feel frustrated and distracted. I think I'm up to the last one, so now I can see new ones. The last question, this is important. I'm helping my mom address a medical issue. Any way to track this info clearly? This is worrisome to me. Yes, you can track it. I don't think the issue is tracking it clearly. I think the issue is being able to always put your hands on it when you need it. So tell me if I'm wrong. If it's about tracking it, that's one question. If it's about being able to put your hands on your tracking system, that's a completely different issue. For keeping your hands on it, I would keep it in what I call fingertip files, but for starters, till you know how to do that, keep it in your action files and label it so you cannot not know where it is. For tracking it, it really depends on what you're tracking. Probably a notebook or a 3-ring binder is going to work for you. Lisa said this class has given me hope. Thank you, Lisa. I'm so glad. My whole message is, you know, yes, you can do it. I thought I couldn't do it either. I thought I would never get finished with all the clutter. And then when I finally got through the clutter, I thought I will really never get through the papers. But I got through the papers. And you know what? I mean, this is cliche, but the truth is, it's one piece of junk at a time. It's one piece of clutter at a time. It's one piece of paper at a time. we have to make the decisions. An organizer said to me years ago, my favorite quote about organizing, which is, clutter is simply postponed decisions. And yes, that's what it is. It's postponed decisions. And every piece of paper requires a decision. I mean, even if you could fly me to your house today and I sit with you and go through your papers, which I don't do anymore, by the way, but if that could happen, I've still got to ask you, is this important? Do you need this? Do you want this? How many of these do you need? I still have to ask you. You still have to make the decision. So if you still have to make the decision, you don't need me sitting in your house in front of you. And that's why in the boot camps, I just sit there in front of, I don't know how many people show up for that boot camp, maybe 10, maybe 22, maybe 14, whoever shows up that day. And I sit there because people find it comforting that I'm sitting there. But I still have to ask you the same question. What is it? What are you going to do with it? Do you want to file it? Do you want to act on it? Do you need to shred it? Are you going to throw it in the trash? Same question. The question is, do you need to pay me to sit with you, or do you want to just pay $29 for me to sit with you on a virtual? Same thing. Or come to my next free class. Who knows? I might do another free. I'm going to keep doing free classes. I'm so glad you all are on my list. So stay on my list because, yeah, you're going to get my marketing stuff because I have to do that. But I will also keep doing free classes because for me, free classes are fun. It's like I get to come and visit with my friends again. So thank you all for being here. She said, thanks so much, Marsha. Hi, Martha. I got quite a bit of organizing done while you were talking. By this time, I think your voice is actually a catalyst for me to organize. I hope so. And that's what SOS, people tell me that's what SOS does. They say they turn it on, they hear my voice and they start working. And like I said, I'm really honored by that. Do I recommend starting with stuff or papers? Martha, do you have a question? I see you raising your hand. You can unmute if you want to just ask me. I can't hear you, Martha. You're unmuted. Click the microphone at the bottom of your screen to unmute.
Oh, there. Thank
Yeah,
you. Sorry,
you're welcome.
Marsha.
It's okay.
A friend of mine had her uncle in the hospital and she got one of these. It's
Filing.
a plastic
Yeah.
container of files. And in it, she kept all the stuff that her uncle needed. And she would have to talk to social workers and nurses and doctors. And so she had all these files exactly where she wanted them in this file cabinet, in this file thing that she could carry around with her. You know, you see the handle?
That's right.
And I don't know how much this cost, but it was just a godsend. So maybe the person who has, I forget who, in the hospital now could use this.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And you know what? This is one of the reasons that I loved going to clients so much, because I would learn something from everybody that I could take to the next person. And in all my classes, everybody is so willing to share, like everybody is so absolutely nice and wonderful. You all are just wonderful people. We just want to help everybody. So thank you for that, Martha. And you are right. That may be a great system for somebody who you can use that system. I highly recommend any system that works. There is no wrong way to do it because you do need that information. My sister, when my sister's husband was very, very ill, she used three ring binders, you know, the ones with the 5 sections in each one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she used. So that system worked for my sister. So it's a matter of what will work for you. But that's also a good one. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. Pamela said, do you recommend starting with stuff or papers? If you have a disaster and you walk into what I call a disaster room, and I had a client a long time ago, she had a room that they called Siberia. And she said, every time we don't know what to do with something, we throw it in Siberia. And that was the room that I had the pleasure of helping her clean up and organize. And when it's a room like that, or like I've had clients, when you open the door, they have rooms that you literally cannot enter for real. You open the door and there's literally a wall of stuff. With rooms like that, I recommend starting with stuff. And just because you asked, I'll tell you how I recommend you do it. You separate. You take first, you take all of the things made out of fabric or cloth and you put them away. You put them on a bed somewhere, get them out of the room. Because fabric, stuff, and papers all mixed in together, you can't handle all that at once. So you have to separate. It's just sorting. That's why I call my company Sort It Out, because that's what we do. We just sort, and then we sort those things, and then we sort those things, and we sort those things. So by the time we finish, everything's in the right place. But you start with anything made of fabric. That's purses, that's shoes, that's clothes, that's towels, that's dish towels, that's washcloths and towels, everything. Put them on a bed somewhere, an extra bed. Then all you have left in the room is stuff and papers. You box your papers up. That's how you begin your gathering. Gather all the papers, put them in boxes against a wall. If you don't have a wall, if you can't get to the wall, then work towards getting to a wall. And then you start stacking the papers against the wall. Now all your papers are contained. You have all your fabric contained, all your papers contained. Then you start with stuff, three-dimensional stuff. You do three-dimensional stuff with yes, no, and maybe. Yes, no, and maybe goes like this. Yes, I want it and I know where it goes. You can put it in a box, but you know where those things go. You're going to put those away. No, I don't want it. It's leaving. It's going in the trash. It's going to charity. It's going to Aunt Susan, whatever. Those things are leaving. So they get boxed up. And then you have the maybes. Just write maybe on a box. Maybe means I don't know if I want it or not, or I don't know where it goes. I want it, but I don't know where it goes. Those are maybes. They get boxed back up and they also go in a box against the wall. Just write maybes on there. Then when your room looks sane, because nothing's all over the place, you have your papers against the wall, you have your maybes against the wall, you can clean the room now because you don't have stuff everywhere. Then you handle the fabric. Things are either clean or dirty. If they're clean, they go up, they stay on the bed because you're going to put them away. If they're dirty, they go on the floor so that then you put the clean things away. You get the dirty things laundered. When they come back from the laundry, you put them away. That's how you handle the fabric stuff. Then we handle the stuffed stuff. Things that have a place, put them where they belong. Other than that, they're leaving. Put them in your trunk and take them away, or call the Veterans of America and they'll come pick them up. Vietnam Veterans of America. Now all you have left are papers to go through and your maybes. Did that answer your question? I hope so. That's how you start. So no matter how bad it is, there's always a way to start. I have
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. I have found the piles and boxes of papers get in the way of decluttering. So I will start with this and we'll clear up lots of flat surfaces. I'm signed up now. Aw, thank you, Suzanne. I'm thrilled that you signed up. Okay, that's all the questions that are in the chat. Does anybody else have a question for me while we're still here? Anybody? Everybody? Just unmute because there are more than 50 people on here. So if you raise your hand, I may not see you. Let me see. Yeah, you just have to kind of unmute. Does that mean no questions? Oh, here's a hand up. Okay. If your hand is up, just unmute and then you can ask me anything. think I've answered every question. Unless you can't unmute for some reason. Okay, well, thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to be with you all today. And I'm so happy and thrilled and honored that you graced me with your time today. And if you have more questions, you know how to reach me. You know my email, you know my website, you know my email address, and you know my phone number. So you have no reason not to reach out to me. I always answer my email if I get it. If I don't answer the email, it's because for some reason I didn't get it. I pick up my own phone. If I'm busy, I hit that little thing that says, I'll call you back, and I will. If I don't call you back by the time you think I should, call me again. People call me, so sometimes I can't pick up the phone. And that's it. And I'm so happy that you were with me today. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a phenomenal day.
Thank you,
Thank
Marsha.
you,
See
you too.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I can't find the thing to hang up the meeting. So funny. I am so bad with technology. Okay, you all have to hang up because I can't sign off.
Okay.
You're stuck with me. I can't figure out where the button is. You're stuck with me.
Leave.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a phenomenal day.
Thanks, Marsha.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.